This video is actually behind the scenes of me and Pat kind of going over in depth and in detail all the reasons why I started a personal brand, all the pros and cons and all the sort of crap that comes with having an online profile. So yeah, this is a behind the scenes. Go check it out. I didn't have the end in mind, but I knew that I needed to be associated with being good at sales. And like, I didn't know, like YouTube on that was not on my radar. Like that all seemed like a very difficult thing. Instagram was like, my Instagram was like just me taking photos of my kids, you know, getting massive at the gym. Like that's about it. So like it, hadn't really come to me, but like on Facebook, I could upload a video, of me teaching a concept or talking about something that I'd experienced in sales, and it would resonate with the people who were on that list because that list was being cultivated sort of organically, to be honest, because I was getting shouted out here and there. So everyone was just friends requesting me, right? So I was able to then like really speak, and like the feedback that I got was so quick. 1,000 people would watch a video, and then all these people would comment, and then like I'd start to go, oh, okay. And then I'd start to do it really, really consistently because I noticed that if I did it more consistently, everything went better. And so I got really quick feedback. It was effective. No one else was doing it because I think they just couldn't be bothered. Everyone was doing like long form posting, which was basically just to kind of get people to read something, which was sort of fluff. Like it's sales copy. It's not information that's tangible. It's not anything really of substance, in my opinion. It's just a call to action, whereas like I never did a call to action because I had nothing to sell them. I was just the sales guy. So the only thing I could sell them was me doing their sales, which is selling their stuff and making them money. So the point of developing the audience within Facebook is because I needed to be considered good at sales. I knew that if I wanted to get accounts, because the difficult thing about being a closer, right, is that like it's really hard to find accounts, even if you're really good, because like the great accounts are usually staffed very quickly, and like if they're bringing in more people, like they overhire so they can overfire, right, which is fair because it's hard to find good people, but it's hard to find consistency of high quality accounts. And then like you kind of find yourself pitching, and it's very hard to prove that you're better. So I was like, I need people coming to me because this seems like the only way that I'm going to be able to consistently be on accounts. And, the strategy at the point for a lot of people was wear a suit, DM every coach and consultant on the planet telling them how good at sales you are. And I was like, that just doesn't seem like it's going to work. So I figured if I just pumped out content on like what I was seeing, the results I was getting, why I thought I was getting those results, and how I didn't really accept the standards that the industry was telling me was standard. 10% close rates are good, and it's like, I don't think they are. And because I had so much more sales experience than 95% of the people who are in the industry, because most of them come in, right, and they're a closer for like 3 or 4 months or a year, and they go out and start their own business and teach people how to sell, or they go start their own coaching business, or whatever it is. I had 10 years full-time selling. Like, so when it came to like knowledge of sales, I didn't even realize, but I was miles ahead of most people just because like they're all kids. They're all 25 years old. They started selling at 23. They sold one product and they call themselves gurus. It's like, well, I've sold 20 things over the course of 10 years, and now it's like 15 years. And so like I've input a lot of information. So the way in which I do things is bred from like doing it a lot, not just what I learned from this guy who learned from this guy who learned from this guy. So like there was a point of difference there that I think people resonated with, and like my truth meter was just like, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. I'll just say what I think. And if it's controversial, yay. If it's not, it's good information anyway. I didn't know if it would work. I didn't know what the end was, but like I knew that if I did it, it would probably be beneficial, right? Like, so I didn't really have an end game. I didn't have a goal in mind for it, but I knew that it would benefit me because I would be perceived as good at sales. When I started to tweak that I should do it more was when other people started to do it as well. And I was like, oh, they're doing very similar to me, but they were about a year behind. It took about a year. And in that year, like I gained like a ton of market share. If it were, like, let's say, like, in the coaching consulting space, and I'm not like I wouldn't consider myself one of the big dudes in the space, like, at all. I've only been in the space for like 2.5 years. But like, let's say there were 20 people ahead of me or 40 people ahead of me, I caught up 70%, right? So I went from being absolutely nobody to having people talk about me in reference to being good at sales. Like, oh, that dude knows what he's doing. That sales sniper guy? Yeah, that guy knows what he's doing. Right? So like, I just overtook a bunch of people. And then like, I overtook people who I thought were like up here. But I was able to overtake them because like I was just more present and I was kind of everywhere. And then we started the podcast, right? And then like that allowed me to talk in long form about very specific subjects. And it's like the podcast never got huge views or listenership, but it was decent. But it was like everyone who listened to that was like, oh, that guy's good at sales. You know? And so it just started compounding. And then when people started trying to do what I was doing in terms of like the daily videos and the video content and podcasts, right? Like, not that I was a pioneer of podcasts, but like in sales, no one did it, you know, at least not seriously. And then YouTube channel, I just tried to stay like 1 or 2 steps ahead of everybody, which is the reason why I got the office. Like, I got this office because I wanted to create a dope place to shoot videos in super high fidelity and high quality, because it's like, well, mate, good luck. Like, I'll shoot this bitch with 9 cameras. You know what I mean? Like, I'll shoot it in 8K with a 360 cam on a fucking one wheel with a drone above me. Like, just good luck keeping up, you know? And that to me was fun, because I saw like the biggest point of difference that I would do is like, I'll never stop doing it, even if nobody watches. Because like the dude who does watch will buy something or recommend me to something. Like, we just got a referral the other day. The dude has IPO'd 60 businesses and wants me to help him start a 150K coaching program. And the dude has like $3 million to put behind it just to start it. And that's a referral from some dude who listened to a podcast. It's like, fuck, man, like the amount of money we'll make from that just by itself will pay for all this camera, all the people, all the production for 3 years. You know? So, you know, people, I think, probably your next question, why do people do content? Like, what's the point of content? The point of content is different for everybody. But like, for me, it's just brand. Like, I know that, and I was talking to Ken Okasaki about this, one of our clients at Oz Media, and he does like content repurposing for a job, right? That's what he does. And he was asking me, because one of like the things, like his frustration in life is like, he has these business owners that come to him for content repurposing, and they send him one video every 3 weeks and expect him to make fucking miracles out of it, you know? And it's like, they're looking for an immediate return. Like, I put out a video, I make $10,000. It's like, bro, it's not going to work like that. You got to kind of like, you know, you got to play the long game. And like, I love when I see my competitors slow down their YouTube posting schedule, because YouTube is the first one that will go, because it's the hardest mistress to crack, you know? Like, they'll go from posting twice a week to once a week to once every 2 weeks to once a month, and it just goes away. And then every now and then they'll throw up a YouTube video, right? It's because like they're not getting the views, or they're not getting they're doing a call to action to download a PDF, and they're not getting enough people commenting, or whatever it may be. It's like, bro, it's like, it's not the point of it. The point of it is like, get your message out there and like use the metrics that you get as feedback to see what's working and what's not. But like, if it, like, who cares if it goes viral? Like, if that one dude who paid us $35,000 yesterday just to look at the possibility, right, of starting that program for him. 35 grand for the audit, right? Offer a referral from a dude who listened to a podcast. Then he listened to a bunch of podcasts, watched some YouTube videos, went onto our website and inquired, and Sean sold him. Like, that's the power of content. So some of the pitfalls of being the face of a personal brand, you know, you have trolls online, obviously. I think, like, to me, like, probably because I like insults, I think insults are a fun game. I'm very hard to actually offend. Like, it would be impossible for someone who I don't respect to offend me. Physically impossible. You could say anything you want, I'd be like, lol, that's amazing. Send the meme of Skeletor, joke's on you, I'm into this shit. right? So like it doesn't affect me negatively at all, at all. I think it's funny. Sometimes I think it's ridiculous because like we've had people who are like, men's support group owners who like comment on my stuff. And sometimes I'm petty and I go through, find a little bit more about him if I'm on the toilet or whatever and I got time. And this guy runs a men's support group, right? Like men helping men. So I joined the group, screenshotted it, posted it up and said, I'm being online bullied. That's why I need to join this group. And he kicked me out, obviously, because he couldn't handle the irony, right? So like you deal with stuff like that. That's not really a big deal in my opinion because like it's just more silly. Like if you have the time or you can be bothered commenting negatively on someone's ad, I have no time for you as a human. I think you're fucking scumbag or just like useless. So it's not really going to affect me. But what is like affecting is like your ability to, you can't just say what you want, and you have to temper the things that you do and say publicly and on front of a camera, on lives. Like lives are a big one. Like you gotta be real careful what you say on lives because shit can just be taken out of context all the times. And you don't want to, it's not that like you don't want to get in trouble because like whatever. But what you don't want to do is put the brand into like disrepute and then have that end up like financially affecting other people. So the key is walking the fine line of like, you never want to be afraid of the phone ringing. So the meaning behind that is like, if the phone rings, like you should have enough integrity in everything you say and do in order to be like, yeah, dude, what's up? Like, and not worry about it because you're not doing wrong by anybody, and like there's the fine line is sort of like, what hills are you willing to die on and what consequence does that have? So I've had clients in the past, which are great people, but they've taken super harsh political stances against things that are happening. And you kind of have to respect that because you have a platform and you can use it, right? And more power to you, right? However, there are like financial implications to other people. And so that's the way up that you've got to do it. It's not like the implications to me. If I make a decision for me and that ends up sinking me personally, like I'm fine with it. I'll live to fight another day or whatever, right? But if I make decisions that affect other people who don't have any control over that decision, like if I just decide to go political rant on Facebook and say something super left or super right, right? I will alienate 50% of all the people who follow me. And so like that will have significant financial implications for a lot of other people. So it's not something I can do. Like under almost any circumstance. There is definitely a hill in which I would be willing to die on. I don't know what that is, but there would be one. But like it is a consideration. Like you just have to kind of scroll past. You see something ridiculous, people saying ridiculous things, whatever it may be. And even things like in sales that I think are ridiculous. That I am an authority on that I could talk about, but I go, peace be with you, son. Like I don't need to enter this debate, right? Because like, what am I going to do here? I don't even provide advice like online. You know what I mean? Because like, I don't have enough space or time to give a nuanced enough answer because like, especially with sales, like I'm very detail oriented. Like it's the only area of my life where I'm detail oriented. And there's so much like complexity with human interaction that like when people ask questions like, what's the best way to make sure people don't show up or people show up? And then all these people provide these answers. And I'm thinking none of these answers are comprehensive enough to give any sort of productive feedback. They're just bloviating to be heard. It's not providing any value. So like if I can't actually provide the value, I think I just like scroll on. And if people like disagree with me, I go, okay. Like that's it. Like every now and then post up something. And like someone the other day, this one got me. They said like, it was something to do with like sales reps doing follow-ups and referrals and outbound. And I was like, yeah, I agree with this statement. I just liked it. And someone was like, well, I know, like, I don't do any follow-ups. I just went, you don't do follow-ups? Like at all? Zero. You don't follow up with prospects? Nope. I was like, huh. And then he went on this whole thing explaining why he shouldn't have to. And I went, huh, okay. Like, I couldn't disagree with that statement more. That seems crazy to me. That's like saying, no, I don't drink water. Like, that's just, you know what I mean? Like, no, I don't do that. I was like, but like, what do you do then? Like, what's your job? Your job is just, you want to do it? No, fuck you. You want to do it? No, fuck you. Do you know what I mean? Like, that seems so crazy. What if that person needs like a week to liquidate funds? Nah, fuck them. Bad mindset. Like, I was like, what's happening? And even that was like, oh, okay. Because why? Yeah. Like, why enter into more of that conversation? I just don't. Okay, you know, what's that? You know, like, don't ever argue with a fool. Like, you know, it's just, what's the point? And like, listen, that guy had points and he had his thing, and I was like, all right, that's, you do you, brother. You know, and like, cause you could pull the big dick. Like, well, how much money do you make? Like, I bet you made 10 grand a month more if you followed up with the prospects. Like, it seems silly. But anyway, good on him. Hope he makes a ton of money. So one of the things about running a personal brand is that you can't be everything to everyone, and trying is kind of ridiculous, you know? So like, every personality type, every person is going to have, I don't know, there's going to be people who are naturally drawn and people who are naturally like repelled, you know? Like, I'm sure people who are not good at sales and think they are don't like me. You know, I could probably name a few of them, right? Right? And so like my personality in particular, like I think Spencer Burnett summed me up perfectly, which was a moderately charismatic asshole. Right? I think that's pretty good. That's pretty close, like, perception of me on the outgoing. I think I'm also pretty generous and nice. Like, I think I'd like to treat people well, you know, especially the people beneath me. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like, you have to have a stance for and against something. Like, for me, the big stance that I took, which is like, it's not, but, you know, in sales was like, there's a metric called offers made. And I took this is fucking ridiculous stance. I was like, the fact that this is a thing is just, and I think what I said is, anyone who uses the metric offers made is a bloviating, fucking self-aggrandizing dickhead who doesn't want to admit they're bad at sales. I think that's what I said. Something along those lines. It was not subtle, right? Because I was on a rant. I was on a Facebook Live. And I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. And it's because I've been dealing with reps who had been sent to me who were told, these are the greatest reps on the planet. These guys have 70% close rates. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I have a 70% close rate. They must be good. And then it's like, they come in and they're like, oh, offers made. I was like, what does that mean? I didn't know what it meant. They explained to me, it's like, oh, well, you know, some people get to the end of the call, they're just not right. And I was like, you mean like they give you an objection? They were like, no, they're just not right. I was like, what does that mean? And so it's like, oh, so you don't count those people? No. I was like, I don't understand. So anyway, like, we went on, and like, I was having to train these people and deal with these people. And then like, they were still passing me these bullshit numbers. Yeah, I fucking killed it, mate, 50%. I was like, no, you haven't. Because you've taken all these calls, these people have showed up, and you've only closed these sales. They go, yeah, offers made. And I go, no, that doesn't exist anymore. And they all quit. The moment I said that metric didn't exist. Now, mind you, same leads, they would have kept making money. The moment I said, you cannot use that metric, I will not accept it, they all quit, because like the thought of facing the reality of the actual skill set that they had compared to other people was, like, I guess, beyond them, right? Because they would rather have an awesome ego than just admit that they need to get better at something, you know? So like, I was really frustrated at that point. So like, I just went on a fucking rant. And like, that was a hard line that I took, which was completely antithetical to the rest of the sales industry and coaching and consulting. So it was like, everyone in coaching and consulting used this metric, and now I can fairly safely say no one uses it. Because like, I made it a little mission to make sure that everyone made a joke of that metric. So it's like, you know, but that, like, again, that taking a side, taking a stance, like, I was passionate about it. It was the hill I was willing to die on at the time, right? And that meant like, I was going to piss off certain people, right? So I was going to repel certain people, but those people were never going to do anything with me anyway. So like, but the people that I attracted were like, you know what? Like, you're right. I hadn't thought of it that way. And then those people were like, let me hear what that guy has to say. And that rant is how I got like 3 of my sales reps that have been with me for the whole time, and they've made me and themselves more money than I care to talk about. So I think like, personal brands, they're a big commitment because like all of a sudden you're responsible for other people. I think so you have to, before you like undertake, and like the brand that I have is relatively small. So I can only imagine you get to like a Cardone level, like the responsibility of having like your face as the face of such a large brand, knowing that like, yes, he can say things, but like there's certain things he cannot say. So like having that responsibility, I think, is something that needs to be considered before you do it. And you need to have like, you probably need to have some sort of outcome. Like the only outcome I had was just be known as good at sales. And it can be as simple as that. If you're a marketer, just be known for being good at marketing. If you're like a sales guy, it's sales. If you're a fitness coach, just help people with fitness. Like if you're posting up a thing every day going like, hey, here's a tip for fitness, and 10 people watch it, it's fine. That's 10 people more than 0. So like it's still beneficial. So like, just make sure that what you're doing is you. Make sure that what you're doing is like true and correct, and what you think is best practice. And then from there, just be consistent with it, because like it's going to take a lot to build. Like the numbers that we get now, I'm sure will be pathetic to the numbers we get in 5 years, because like it's not going to stop. We're just going to keep doing it. So we'll just get better and better and better. So, that's a personal brand. And if you like this kind of content, we have some more for you here.